This is the mysterious area that has been the grave of dozens of divers, the deadly blue hole of the Red Sea. Yuri Lipsky, a Russian diver, put on an air tank and a helmet camera in April 2000. He filled his belt with weights and dove into the blue hole, and he never came out again. He is the most famous of all the divers who died here. His was undoubtedly the best documented accident since he recorded the dive that took his life on camera. The most striking aspect of the recording is how quickly it all happened. In the video, we see him descending unintentionally and uncontrollably to a depth of 115 meters, or 377 feet, involuntarily and uncontrollably. He then removes his regulator while trying to replenish his buoyancy but cannot ascend. His judgment is impaired, probably because he is suffering from nitrogen narcosis. What started as a routine dive turned into a panic-filled attack as he lost consciousness. Then, Lipsky's breathing rate doubled as clouds of sand flew into the air. At the end, he removes his breathing apparatus from his mouth, and the video remains still. His story is similar to the stories of many people who drowned there. The story of the gravestones around the pit and the camera footage that emerged are quite frightening. This place has become the grave of dozens of people like Yuri Lipsky, and this number is constantly increasing. But what is it that makes the blue hole of the Red Sea so deadly? When Egypt is mentioned, the first thing that comes to mind for many people is the pyramids and historical ruins from ancient times. However, there are many other places worth seeing in the country. One of these places is the Blue Hole in Dahab, one of Egypt's touristic regions. Once a Bedouin fishing village, the town of Dahab is now one of the most popular diving spots in the Sinai Peninsula. However, this mysterious structure can swallow anyone who enters it whole. This hole is considered the Everest of the diving world, and many amateurs and professionals continue to die here in this sport. There are more attractive diving areas in the region. There are places with more colorful corals, more fish, shipwrecks, channels, and caves. However, this is the most famous diving spot in the world because it is the most dangerous. You walk just 1 meter or 3 feet from the shore, and the next step you are in a hole about 120 meters or 394 feet deep into the Red Sea. There are hundreds of divers' bodies in the depths that have not yet been recovered. More than 200 people have disappeared while trying to explore the blue hole in recent years. That is why it is called the diver's graveyard. The hole, one of the wonders of nature, is very similar to the fame of Mount Everest, which is called the roof of the world. Just as the difficulty of climbing Everest attracts mountaineers, divers are also attracted to diving here. Tariq Omar, a technical diver from Dahab, began exploring the blue hole in 1992. He was fascinated by the stories of the curse that came to the area after a girl drowned herself there after she refused to have an arranged marriage. Omar first gained fame in 1997 when he brought the bodies of Conor O'Regan and Martin Guerra back to the surface. They were Irish, they were known to be careful divers. Both died on November 19, 1997. One was 22, the other 23. I found their bodies at a depth of 102 meters, or 334 feet. They appeared to be embracing each other. I think one had a problem and started to sink. The other wanted to help him. Then they must have both lost consciousness. What can you do? Theirs were the first bodies to be pulled from the blue hole. Omar, who has since pulled numerous bodies from the water, earned the nickname the Bone Collector. He says he doesn't know how many bodies he has pulled from the hole so far. He says that diving into the blue hole is not difficult, but what makes it dangerous is that many people take it lightly, which leads them into a trap that ends in death. According to him, most people want to dive into deep water before reaching deep knowledge. While tourists wearing life jackets swim in the water with snorkels, there is an area next to it with dozens of memorial tombstones dedicated to the memory of those who died. This gives the whole beach a cemetery-like atmosphere. Yuri Lipsky, Russian, April 28, 2000. A terrible story. His is the most terrifying death that still comes up from time to time today. As I said at the beginning of the video, he recorded every moment of his dive into the blue hole with a camera. Today, his images are used as a warning to new divers about the dangers of scuba diving. On the side is a black and red sign. It says James, June 1st, 2003. It was found at a depth of 135 meters, or 443 feet. The words on it are quite meaningful. Don't let fear stand in the way of your dreams. So how did these blue holes form? Blue holes are sinkholes or vertical caves that develop over time as rocks begin to erode and collapse. When the last ice age ended about 11,000 years ago and sea levels rose, these caves filled with water. In fact, some are now completely submerged. The term blue hole comes from the dark blue waters that characterize the formations. The water inside the hole is deep, so it appears dark blue, while the water around it is light blue, so it is shallow. This creates a striking color contrast. Returning to the blue hole in Egypt, most of the fatalities occurred when divers tried to cross the tunnel connecting the hole to the Red Sea. What makes this place more dangerous than others is its unique shape. The inside of the blue hole is as follows. As you go deeper from the surface of the water, the walls narrow like a funnel. The attractive feature of the blue hole that attracts divers is the passage tunnel. Divers first jump directly into the blue hole from a platform on the shore. Then they dive vertically to a depth of 56 meters or 184 feet. When you reach here, you will come across a 26-meter or 85 feet long arch tunnel that connects the blue hole to the open sea. Some unfortunate divers do not see this tunnel and continue to dive even further, thinking that they have not reached enough depth yet, and they can be dragged to the bottom of the hole, which is 120 meters or 394 feet deep. This huge tunnel extends from the blue hole to the Red Sea. The goal is to pass this tunnel. The diver who enters here must follow the path that will take him to the open sea. If you can find the right path, the depth when you reach the exit of the tunnel is 52 meters or 170 feet. Only technical divers can access this part of the blue hole because the tunnel exit point to the open sea is very high. The tunnel poses little problem for properly equipped and qualified divers. The main difficulty is gas management. If the use of gas is not carefully planned, the diver may not have enough gas for the decompression stops, or they may run out of gas completely. Several other factors also contribute to this danger. The clarity of the water and the angle of the tunnel are a kind of optical illusion that causes people to underestimate the distance from the tunnel to the open sea. Many people who see the tunnel think that the distance to open water is around 10 meters or 32 feet, but in reality, the distance is 2.5 times that, making the danger even greater. This is why touristic dives are limited to 25 meters or 82 feet, because the real danger begins after this point. Authorities state that the biggest reason for deaths in the pit is due to trying to dive deeper in an uncontrolled manner. After a certain depth, due to high pressure, people who dive experience nitrogen narcosis or depth drunkenness, since it is quite difficult to determine the depth of the tunnel entrance while in nitrogen narcosis. If divers miss the entrance and continue to a depth of 120 meters or 394 feet, they experience physical and mental disorders similar to the effects of alcohol. As depth and pressure increase, the gases in the body become denser, interfering with the nervous system and cognitive processes, and the body cannot process what is actually happening. Some of those who previously experienced depth drunkenness in the blue pit said that they saw a bright light during the dive and thought it was the water surface. The scary part is that these people can perceive the bottom of the pit as the water surface as a result of the depth drunkenness they experience, and this causes them to go deeper. This is where things can really go wrong. Because the person can't control themselves, they fall deeper and deeper without even realizing it. And the deeper they go, the more narcotic they become. So now you're in a death spiral. In the way I described, the person experiences oxygen poisoning and runs out of air and drowns. In the second scenario, the diver manages to swim through the tunnel, but has inhaled so much air that they no longer have enough air to complete the decompression stops. They surface and begin to develop decompression symptoms. This is caused by the nitrogen gas and the breathing gas being used dissolving into the blood due to the increasing pressure as they descend. However, this dissolved gas in the blood cannot be removed quickly when they surface. It forms air bubbles within the body tissues and sudden death occurs. Sometimes people can't be found even after a long time because of the size and depth of the hole. When divers dive into the blue hole, they often record their dives on video. When they watch the video later, they see the equipment belonging to the missing persons lying on the sand or rocks at the bottom. The conditions on the surface of the blue hole give the illusion of a much safer environment than it is. This is perhaps what makes it so deadly. At the same time, the fact that various marine creatures live here attracts people's attention. In recent years, safety measures have been increasing in diving. Although some diving centers continue to allow tunnel excursions for single-tank scuba divers, their numbers have started to decrease today. Non-professional divers are now prohibited by law from entering the blue hole. Technical diving is an extreme sport. Extreme sports also have extreme consequences. Thank you for sharing your time with me by watching this content. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. You can check out my channel and subscribe for more content about our wonderful world. Goodbye.